Excellent. We're live now. All right. So when you start on Autodesk, we're going to start making parts. Later we'll do assemblies, drawings, presentations. But for now we're going to start making a part. So we click on part. We wait for Autodesk to get to where it needs to be. Some computers you'll have to wait longer than others. Now, whenever, so if you're new at it, whenever you start a new part, you are going to start by making a 2D sketch. Be careful. You want a 2D sketch, not a 3D. I will admit openly right now, I'm not even sure how to do a 3D sketch. But I know how to do a 2D, so we'll start there. This coordinate system will pop up. It does not matter which plane you choose. So just pick one and click on it. And we're going to start with a sketch. We always start with a sketch. A sketch is two-dimensional. And then, after we make our shape, we extrude it, give it thickness. But let's make our shape first. Now, for the shape in question, the one that looks like, I believe, right here, it's going to look like this. There's two ways to look at making this. One way is additive. In other words, I'm going to start with a basic shape, probably this rectangle you see right here. And in fact, I'm going to start with a rectangle that is 1.5 inches along here and 1.5 straight down. And then I'm going to add this little cube and add this little cube to it. That would be additive. So I start with a basic shape and I stick things on it. I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to go here and I'm going to create a rectangle. There's ways to do it. I'm going to do 2-point. Sometimes you'll want to do a 2-point center, but I hover over the center, the origin here, and it will turn green. I'll click once, drag over. Now, before I hit enter or anything, I want to tell it how big I want it. So I'm going to make it 1.5 inches, so 1.5, but don't hit enter. Then I'm going to hit tab. And that's going to take me, I'm going to zoom out here. And that's going to take me to the other dimension, and I'm going to make that 1.5. And now I can hit enter. And I've got my square. Let's say I messed up. One thing is you can always go back and hit the undo to undo anything that you don't like. I don't know what I just did. Get out of there. Ah! Okay, that's fine. We'll just do a rectangle. I made something that I don't even know how I did it. We're just going to run with it. So I make a rectangle. Now let's say I hit 1.5 and I forget and I hit enter. Oh shoot. So what am I looking at here? The green line that you see here means I haven't fully dimensioned this. I haven't locked it into place. The computer knows that there's some ambiguity. There's some unknown here. It knows that up and down is 1.5, but I haven't really said anything about left or right. So here's what we're going to do. If you forget to do that, how the heck did I do this? Does anybody, what if I click this? Return, there we go, got it, figure it out. I'm going to go to dimension. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to go to this bottom side. Well, I'll go to the top side. Click it, move up, and then I'm going to click that number, and I'm going to say I want that to be 1.5. So I can always do it after the fact, too. I don't have, if I forget to hit tab, I don't have to undo everything. There's more than one way to do everything in Inventor. So I get my square, I finish my sketch. I extrude it. That means I'm going to, a couple ways you could do it. You could click extrude up here on this ribbon, on this panel, or you can, I like to right-click the object and hit extrude. I don't want it to be an inch thick, which is what this says. And by the way, this stuff here and this box here really are doing the same thing. I want it to be 0.75. Once I do that, I'm good. I'm going to change my view a little bit. I'm going to click on this corner of the box and it will rotate it to that way. If I always want to look at it that way, I can right-click up here and say set current view as home. I usually say fit to view. Now every time I hit home, it'll bring me back here. Now, if you'll notice, I have that shape. I'm going to add this little square to it and this little square in those locations. And I'll be done. So in order to add something like that, I start with a 2D sketch. The best way to do it here is to go to a side, right-click on it, and go to New Sketch. And now we're going to make our square there. So I'm going to click Rectangle, go to, say, this corner, wait to turn green, click, move. I want this to be 0.75, tab, 0.75. Enter. It's right there. There's my square. It's all blue. We're good to go. I hit Finish Sketch, and I right-click on Extrude, and it automatically does it to what I did before, 0.75, so I'm good. Boom. I just added that square there. Now, where am I adding the next square? Right, in that bottom left-hand corner over here, right? So I'm going to go, and I'm going to make a sketch on this face. So I right-click there. I hit New Sketch. Click Rectangle. 0.75, tab, 0.75, enter, finish, right-click, extrude, done. I just made that shape. Now, when I get good at it, it doesn't take long at all. Now, I'm going to do the exact same shape, but looking at it from a whole different way of doing it. And in that way, I'm going to actually show you a nice skill to know. So let's go and do up here to the Applications menu, we'll go New Part, and we'll start over again. Now this time, I'm going to make a big cube, or big block, and I'm going to take away parts of it. I'll see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So, subtractive methods. So this is basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with a big cube, and I'm going to take away pieces of it until I get what I want. Personally, for this shape, I think additive is easier. But some shapes, subtractive is easier, being able to take away stuff. So we'll look at it both ways. So I'm going to go start my 2D sketch. So in your head, what I want you to do right now, if you're watching this, is ask yourself, what would I do first? And try to think a step ahead of me so you know what you can do it on your own later. Pick a coordinate plane. I'm going to create a rectangle. Now, unlike before, I'm going to make this one 1.5 tall, but 2.25 across. Finish it, and I'm actually going to extrude it 1.5. And once again, I'm going to turn it around and set that view, this view as home, because that's what it looks like on my paper here. So I'm starting with, if you remember, I have this. Now I'm going to take away right here. So the next thing I do, ladies and gentlemen, is probably the most important thing I show you in this entire video. Cool? Okay. So I'm going to right-click here, do a new sketch. Now in this case, first time we're not going to use rectangles. Obviously, you do not always have to use rectangles. In this case, I really think using a line function will be better. So if you can imagine, what I want to do is I want to draw a shape that is basically from here, you're following, all the way across to here, down, over until about here, up, and then over to about here, and then back to where I started. I'm going to draw the outline of this piece right here that I'm going to cut out. I could do it with rectangles, but it's going to be harder down the line. When you go and do this with lines, here's what I suggest. Click once, so you hit line, go to a spot where you're going to start. Let's click once and then move over. You see it's going to get to the other corner, wait for it to turn green, click again. Boom. It'll automatically continue to make lines. So then you go to the next corner. Click. Boom. Now, I wouldn't worry about going the exact right distance. I know I need to go 1.5. I guess I could dimension it here if I wanted. I'm just going to bring it down and put it at somewhere close to 1.5. I don't really care right now. We'll come back to it. Click there. Then I'm going to go up a ways. I should go 0.75. I'm not going to worry exactly. I'm just going to click. Oh. I'm going to go back. I'm going to start. I did not have a line at that point, so I'm going to go here. There we go. Up almost 0.75. Doesn't really matter. Click again. Come over. Get to that line. click again, and then go up from there back to where I started. It's important you close the shape. Boom. Now, you'll notice that a lot of those are green. That's all right. I just have to dimension them now. I'm going to go back after I made my basic shape, and I'm going to dimension the pieces I didn't. Like I want this. No, not that. I want from this dot, I click here. So, by the way, dimension. See that little, it's going to be hard for you guys to tell. Let me get in. You see where the little dot lights up? There's a little white dot there. I can click there, and then I click in this corner, and I can tell it the distance between those two. I'll click there. I want it to be 1.5. Enter. Then I want this side here to be 0.75. Enter. And I think I want this. Oh, we're good. It's already done. See, it knows that if this is 1.5, then the remaining section has to be 0.75. And when I go to tell it that, it's like, dude, I already got it. So just hit cancel and move on. Now I've made this shape. I finish my sketch. You can see the shape in blue here. I right-click on it. I extrude it. Oh, wait, it's not extruding. Is anybody else here panicked? Yeah, man. You should be very panicked. No, you're not. Here's the deal. It doesn't know what you want it to extrude. See, it has a choice. See how, I don't know if you guys can see, if you're in the classroom, I don't know if you can see it or not. You see how this little square lights up a little bit when I hover over it? Yeah. All right? And the little plus sign is next to my cursor. It's asking me, hey, which shape do you want to extrude? Well, I don't want to extrude this one. I want to extrude the big one. See how, this one right here that I just made. So I'm going to click that. Except I don't want it to go that way, do I? I want it to go back. Boom. But I don't want it to go 1.5 inches. That'll eliminate everything. I only want it to go 0.75, half of that distance. Cha-ching, done. I just cut it away. So, but that's an example of using the line function. There are other ways to do it, but using the line function helps. Now, what do I have to cut away now? This little corner right here, right? Yes, extrude can either cut or add. Yes, it can in fact, when I go to extrude this next thing, I'll show you what I mean. I got to make a drawing first. Sketch, there we go. Here I will use a rectangle. We'll anchor it in this corner. 0.75, tab, 0.75, enter, finish, right click. Now, when I extrude, over here on the left, this answers, someone just in this class asked, I can do this, which means I believe I can cut or add, depending. Here is just cut. And I believe this, but they determine that. Right now, if I go into a shape, it knows to cut. If I go away from a shape, it knows to add. And 0.75 is not what I want. Well, it is what I want, but I want it to go the other way. Boom. If I wanted it to go all the way through an object, I could, where it says distance, I can drop it down and just say all. It'll do the same thing. It'll just go through everything that's in the shape. So if I want to put a hole through a complicated shape, I don't have to tell it how far to go. I just say go until you can't anymore, and it'll go all the way through. And then we've made the same shape that we did before, except two different ways. How could you tell the different ways? Well, if you look over here, I can see that the person in the browser, I can see that you used Subtractive. If we look over here, I can see that we used Additive. So the browser tells you what happened. It's a record of what happened. And it'll even show you the sketches involved. That was the sketch I made for that, and so forth and so on. So each of the sketches show up. Right, someone can come back and be like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do, you could come back and keep a record of what you did. And it's all chronological there, unless I move it around, I guess. All right. Now you're going to do it on your own.